Mike, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. Let's talk about some really cool stuff. Kind of start with now and maybe go back because there's
Yeah.
some
Whatever you'd
crazy
like,
news.
however you'd like.
We can't stop thinking about it and talking about it. Three out of four of us are dreaming about it. Uh, Star Trek United. Where did this idea come from? Tell everybody what it is if they don't know already.
Mm,
Well, it
yeah.
is a potential sequel or spinoff, really, to Enterprise, and it would be picking up with the character of Jonathan Archer, 25, 30 years since we last saw him. And we had established late in the run of Enterprise, I actually had to write a view screen graphic for one of our episodes, and we got a glimpse of Archer's future. And in the future, it established, at least I established, that Archer was one day going to become president of the Federation. So a couple of years ago, I was reaching out to Scott about a project, a different project, non-sci-fi, non-Star Trek, and I was writing him an email, and I thought at the time I was starting off with a very lame joke. How soon are we going to see Star Trek Archer on Paramount
Mhm.
Plus? The Picard show was big news at the time. But before I hit send on that email, I realized, wait a minute, like what would that be? What would Star Trek Archer be? And I flashed back to that graphic I had created, and I was like, oh right, Archer would be he'd be president of the Federation now if we checked in on him.
Mhm.
And it just, oh my God, that was a television show that it just hit me out of the blue. So when I reached out to Scott, I pitched him on both ideas that I wanted to chat with him about, and he was into both of them, and we talked quite a bit about what this show could be. It's not a sequel in many ways. As I said, it is very much a
Mhm.
spin-off, like the way Frasier was a spin-off of Cheers, where every now and then you'd see folks from the bar, but it was really a pretty different show with a lot of new characters. And I'd still love to see everybody from Enterprise
Mhm.
on appear on this show in one capacity or another, and maybe even some of the
Even
regular.
Billingsley?
Not Billingsley. I don't.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's
I'm
fair.
just kidding.
Everybody but
Ah.
Billingsley. No, I love John. He's
Yeah.
Mhm.
fantastic. But although he really tortured Scott at the Vegas convention, I don't know if you got a chance to see some of that. He took over the microphone and was just
Oh,
brutal.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I'm sure Scott appreciated that. Um, so yeah, that in a nutshell, it would be about Archer, and it would be about his adult kids. He's got four adult kids who, like his
That's
parents,
cool.
are in various jobs of service throughout the Federation. One is in Starfleet, one is in the intelligence community, another is in diplomacy, and fourth one, I'm going to keep that a secret for the moment, but
I
Ooh.
love it.
Oh
but
boy.
they're all grown up, and their stories will actually all interconnect and intertwine as the season progresses. So it felt like a really sort of like familiar but different way to approach Star Trek type stories. And so it was pitched. Scott and I pitched it to the powers that be at Paramount a couple of years ago, and we just kind of gave them a very general overview. We didn't work out all the details, or rather, pitch all the details. I had a lot of the details, but I had them in reserve,
Mhm.
um, and just to see if they were interested in it, and they seemed to be, and
Mhm.
they told us they took it quite seriously. They took a couple months to get back to us. It went up the flagpole over there. I think ultimately they decided it was perhaps in too similar of a show to something they had in production, which I'm sure you've all heard of, Starfleet Academy,
Mm.
which is, at least partially set on Earth. The show, as we pitched it at the time, I figured was going to be set on Earth. And although after that meeting, I realized, well, actually, it would probably be set somewhere else, and we can chat about that if you'd like. It would actually be set in deep space on the planet
Ooh.
Babel, which has been
Oh,
established
right. Yeah.
in a lot of the shows as a center of
Wow.
diplomacy. And
Yeah.
so that would actually give the series more of a Deep Space Nine feel, which I
Hmm.
really loved. So
Nice.
you're sort of out there on the frontier, and I realized, oh my gosh, that should have been the premise, the setting from the beginning.
Right.
Brilliant.
So, I mean, just generally, that's kind of how it all started. It just sort of fell into place. And I was asked to be in a political panel, a Trek politics panel at the
Yeah.
Vegas convention a couple of months ago. And I was asked to talk about this by people who were aware that it had been a thing. And I was kind of hesitant because you generally don't talk about pitches that didn't really come to anything.
Right.
But I thought, what the hell, what could it hurt? And it just kind of exploded. I mean, just the amount of the interest that it seems to have generated, it has just been fantastic. In many ways, it's kind of depressing because I've never had this much attention for
Aw.
projects I've worked on,
Aw.
but it's been great fun, sort of thinking about it. And like I said, people have been coming out of the woodwork. The senior illustrator on the Next Generation, Andrew Probert, who designed the
Wow.
Enterprise D, uh, read about it and asked me if I had any ships he might play around with some
Oh, that's
designs
cool.
for. And
Ooh.
so we've been chatting back and forth about that. But again, it's not a show right now. There is some
Yeah.
hope that with a new administration, a new team coming into Paramount, they seem very interested in doing more Star Trek on streaming and in the feature area.
Yeah.
A show like this, which is not in some ways a flagship show, even though there would be starships in it, it's not on a ship with a captain out there exploring the final
Right.
frontier.
Hmm.
So it would be more like a show like Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine really
Mhm.
only gets on the air when you have a Next Gen or a Voyager um, already on the air. So
That's a good point.
if they want to expand Trek on streaming, a show like this could perhaps fit into their plans, if indeed that's the direction they want to go. So we'll see what happens. It's been a very exciting couple of weeks. I think people really want to see Scott return and play that character again. I think and I felt that at the convention. There was
Oh, yeah.
there was so much love for him, and it just a total. He wasn't supposed to be at that convention, and at the last minute, somebody dropped out, and he was available, and we caught up very briefly there, and it was just insane the
Hmm.
the enthusiasm, not only for him and for Enterprise, which is coming up
Yeah.
on its 25th anniversary next year,
Yeah.
but for this idea too. So. I don't know. Right now, it is, as I've been saying, just kind of a pleasant little daydream, a pleasant little fantasy. But everything starts that way. Every idea, every pitch, every television
Mhm.
series starts as a what if. So we'll see what happens.
Hey, real quick,
So,
I know everybody wants to jump in with some things, but just super quick. Greer Murdoch in the live chat says, quote,
Mhm.
Trip is alive. Michael, is Trip alive?
Dang it, that
Where?
was going to be one of my first questions was, let's say we get this show, how are you
Yeah.
going to resurrect Trip Tucker?
Well, I was going to say, does the person in the chat know where he's hiding? Because that would be helpful.
Section
Um,
31.
Open up that closet. Oh,
I
there
would-
he is.
Is Trip alive? Well, I mean, from my personal view is that what was seen in the series finale on the holodeck was perhaps not the entire story. I would say that I definitely have ideas of how we'd see Connor on the show.
I like that.
If he's interested, if he's available. But that's kind of all I could ever say about that.
Yeah.
Again,
Oh my God.
not a real
Of
TV
course.
show. So you can make up your own Trip stories.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right? This is why fanfic exists.
Exactly. This is fanfic right now.
Mhm.
So how do we make it not fanfic? How do we
Ooh.
take it beyond the speculation and the imagination and put it out there on the screen? How do we get the higher ups to say, "Oh yeah, this is something that
She's
we
asking for an email address, I think. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, do we need to skywrite it across the sky?
Right. Do we
You
need
know,
a plane?
Oh, we need a
Do we
plane. We
need
need
a
to get
plane?
that Ben Solo
Right?
plane.
Exactly,
Um,
right?
Well, let's see. I mean, if we end up sitting in the theater in like 2 years and see a Ben Solo movie, we'll know the plane worked.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Melissa, to answer your question, I'm not sure what to do. There've been various campaigns over the years for shows, and sometimes that works. It seems like what happens these days is that studios pay attention to social media and what people
Mm.
are chatting about and what they're hashtagging. So, rather than write letters, which might just end up in a shredder,
Right.
get on social and chat about it and hashtag it, and
Yeah.
maybe that will catch the attention of
Mm.
folks over there. I mean, really, I think we'd like them to know that this is a thing, that it exists, that we'd love to talk to them about it, and that's really it. We're not like must put this show on the air right now. I mean, yeah, that'd be great, but I'd love to get that conversation going at some point. But that said, there's a fair amount of Star Trek in the pipeline right now,
Hmm.
and in that there's two series. There's one premiering that I think they've done 2 seasons. They've got in the pipeline, and I think Strange New Worlds has 2 seasons left to air. So there's going to be
Mhm.
I think a fair amount of Trek on the tube for a little while. So and I think also at Paramount things are very much up in the air over there.
Hmm.
Mm.
The
Like they're
merger.
the merger and layoffs and all of that. So
Yeah.
I don't know, like the email for the person hypothetically you might want to reach out to, they may not be in the job yet. Honestly, I don't
Right.
Yeah.
know.
Right.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Good point.
That's true.
Though it has been nice seeing Skydance talking about Star Trek as a priority.
Yes.
Right.
That's a nice thing to see.
Hmm.
It is. It
No.
is. I mean, certainly after Enterprise went off the air, there was obviously we had the JJ movies, but there
Yeah.
was no Trek on TV for what, like 11 years or something, and
Mhm.
Too
and there
long.
didn't seem to be a lot of interest in it at the time. So it's I'm hopeful that as a fan, I'm hopeful that we'll get a lot of new stuff.
Absolutely.
But yeah, maybe this could be a part of it if that's the direction they want to go. But I think they're
Mhm.
going to need to, it all depends. Like if they, for instance, they might decide they want to do feature films that are about, an enterprise and exploration and all that. And if they want to do a television show, they might want the TV show to be different. They're probably not going to want Captain Kirk on the big screen and on the same screen, on the
Right.
little screen at the same time. So, but something like this, which is, I think, very much Star Trek in its DNA, but not
Exactly.
that Starship-based show, could maybe fit with their plans, whatever their plans end up being.
Hmm. Hmm.
I
Well,
think they're
Michael,
still figuring it out, quite frankly.
I
Yeah.
think our buddy John Orchiola of Screen Rant is working on an article because he has a question
Oh.
that sounds very
Okay.
article-y. And if I know him, his question is, how much input did Scott have on Archer's 4 kids?
Ooh.
Ooh.
He had quite a fair amount of input. So my initial idea was to take Archer in a direction, make him more like Scott and the Scott that I knew. Part of it was I mean, Scott made very clear that he'd played Archer for 4 years across 98 episodes. That's a lot, and he definitely didn't want to come back and just do the same show with the same
Yeah.
guy who wasn't different. And it was certainly true at the time, and became even more true, I think, over time, that Archer was very different from Scott, which is interesting because I've certainly seen interviews with Bill Shatner and Kate Mulgrew, and they talk about their characters and how they've sort of like mind melded with them,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
they very much think their character. They think they and their character have very similar mindsets and would probably take similar actions. I don't know about the Tuvix thing. I don't know how Kate feels about Tuvix these days.
Oh,
I think
she's very
actually probably
outspoken
very
about
happy
Tuvix. She
with
said
what she
Janeway's
did.
right.
Janeway's always right.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of really good questions here.
Yeah.
Oh, super.
Chuck A. I mean, these are warming my little nerd heart. Chuck A. says, will we be seeing Shran and also the Zindi? Have you given thought to Shran or the Zindi?
Yeah, I've definitely given thought to Shran. The Zindi, perhaps I think we might see them I think we'd want to find out where they are at that point in
Mhm.
history, 25 or so years later. Um, yeah, I would love to see Jeff Combs return as Shran. I think that would be amazing.
Hmm.
Um, but it's difficult to get actors sometimes when they're not a series regular. So assuming we could find, and I can think of many, many stories that could involve Shran that
Mhm.
would be great stories on their own and worth bringing Jeff along to reprise that character. But it wouldn't be right to have Shran just kind of in the background sitting in a meeting, so he's still there and he's got a
Yeah.
job.
No, no, no,
That
no.
you've got to be able to use them. I have friends on some of the new shows and the Picard series, and for all the cameos that we saw in those shows, there were so many others they tried to make happen, and they just couldn't for a whole bunch of reasons. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons I heard is people just didn't want to come back for a cameo. They
Mhm.
wanted something meaty, and they were holding out hope.
Mhm.
The concern I think for actors is if you do the cameo, then they're not going to write the meaty thing for you.
Right.
So it's a
Yeah.
little bit of a gamble. And
Mm.
so that said, I'd love to get Jeff back. I'd love to see everybody from the old show in one
Mhm.
capacity or another. My idea for the opening of the show would be a flashback to a scene that we never got from like Enterprise season 7 during the Romulan.
Mm.
Oh.
And as many of the
Ooh.
cast as I could get for that, for what would honestly not be a whole lot more than a cameo, I would love to get for that flashback, for that budget busting flashback sequence. Um,
Beautiful.
but yeah, so love to have him.
That would be great.
Mhm.
Joshua Reeve asks, have you thought about how many Federation worlds there are during the time frame for United?
Ooh.
Good question.
And who could
I
Good
potentially be
question.
joining
Yeah, like
from
how
this
deep
series?
how deep is this world
Yeah,
building gotten?
right.
Interesting. So I'd say there's more than 5, but
Mhm.
fewer than 50 would be
Awesome. Yeah.
what I would say.
Okay.
Right.
Just enough to cause a little more chaos, really, for
Yeah.
President Archer.
Well, I think they've always kept it kind of vague about like who's in the Federation exactly.
Mhm.
Like the core members, of course, but there's still a lot of room to play around there.
Certainly. Could we
Yeah.
shift gears just a tiny bit? Because I'd love to
Yeah,
ask about
please.
Voyager. And I've recently been going through season 7, which you were a big part of. And man, there's some bangers of episodes in that season, number one. But I would love to know if you have any really awesome memories of working with the Voyager cast or just producing that last season. I mean, what was in the air at the time?
Exhaustion was in the air.
I don't doubt
very,
it.
it was interesting because I started to work on Voyager in season 7. I was hired with my writing partner at the time, Phyllis Strong, and we came in, I think maybe like a quarter of the way, like I don't know, episode 7 or something.
Mm.
And they'd been making that show for 7 years, and everybody was just like 26 episodes a season. They were on the verge of burning out. Certainly, the cast, I think, was. Um, yeah, I mean, I have some memories I probably can't talk about. I remember the Christmas party and
Oh boy.
the cast being a little tipsy. It was definitely Star Trek and chill at that Christmas party.
That
The
is
early
a
version.
good time.
But but so that was fun. I mean, it was. I can remember. I would probably go back before season 7. I remember I had written. It was the first teleplay I did. I was a freelancer. It was an episode called "The Swarm" in season 3. It was
Hmm.
actually the first
Yeah.
episode where Bob Picardo sang opera on the show. Little known fact.
That's right.
Oh,
Um,
right.
I can't remember which opera we gave him, but we'd heard through the grapevine that he was a really good singer, which is like kind of crazy now because all he does is sing. And but I remember visiting the set as a freelance writer, not actually working on the show, but being a guest and going down there. And the bell rang and the red light came on, which meant they were filming. And everyone, you just stand where you are so you don't make any sounds. And like behind this wall of, it was the set, but it was just the back of the set. It was just wood. I could hear Kate Mulgrew saying the lines I had written. And I just got like, I looked at my friend who I was with and I just got chills. That was the first time I'd ever heard an actor speak my lines
Oh,
for
that's so cool.
Oh
for
wow.
Star
And it's
Trek. And
Captain Janeway.
it
Yep.
was Captain Janeway. That was a moment. And yeah, I remembered all these years later.
Oh, that's
Ricardo
so cool.
sang "O Suave Fanciulla" from La Boheme.
La Boheme,
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
I didn't get that from memory, by the way.
No.
Uh, we only have you
So-
for a couple more minutes, but I know, Jenny, you got something, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was wondering, just, with the world building and thinking about, how Enterprise only got, it kind of got lopped off there, and there were a lot of ideas that sort of never came to fruition, including the Romulan War. And I heard that you had some ideas about that, or at least the involvement of the Romulans, maybe
Oh,
in United.
oh yeah. Well, I think well, of course, the Romulan War would have actually happened during season 4 between
Right.
episodes 21 and 22. We like skipped ahead 6 years
Yeah.
right over the Romulan War. So by the timeline of the show, it is history, but it's not ancient history. And I definitely have a lot of ideas about how the Romulans are behind the scenes. And this would lead into the storyline involving Archer's kid, the one who works in the intelligence service, and what's going on. And I've also chatted about how I would love, love, love to get to reprise his character of the Romulan secret agent, Todd Stashwick, who was on season
Yeah.
4. Deep cut, but
Right.
he was on season 4 of Enterprise playing a Vulcan. He was a Romulan disguised as a Vulcan and deep undercover. And I love the idea of bringing that character back. And he is still up to no good, manipulating behind the scenes. And so the Romulan War may be over, but the Romulans are not gone. And I think there's still a lot to do with them that could be really, really intriguing. I can see it. That part of the story is very Jean Le Carré to me, and I love a good slow horses style.
Oh, for sure.
Spy show. So I think that could be a really interesting component of this.
Definitely.
a
Speaking
lot
of
of fun.
Stashwick,
Wow.
I know you did an episode of 12 Monkeys that is a particular favorite of mine. It's
Oh,
wonderful.
wow.
100 years. Yeah.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. How does that work? I'm just curious, like doing one episode of a show somewhere. Did Terry just like call you up one day?
Oh, well, I was there for that entire season. So
Oh, so you were in the
I
writer's
worked,
room.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Totally.
okay.
Totally.
Gotcha.
So I worked on a
Gotcha.
lot of different shows, but when you're producing a show, and even if you're not necessarily the executive producer, you just you don't put your name on everything.
Gotcha.
Doesn't quite
Oh,
work
that's
that way.
awesome.
But yeah, some really talented people came out of that show. That was
Yeah.
fun.
Awesome.
Well, Michael, this has been so much fun, and we want to thank you, number one, for the incredible memories you've given us writing Star Trek episodes. Because they're more than just episodes. They're like memories for us. A lot of these we remember the first time we watched them and where we were and what we went through and the gasps we made. And then we relive those as we watch it again. And we just really appreciate what you've contributed. You've really enriched our lives. And we want to also thank you for joining us on this show to talk
Yes.
about
Yes,
spring
thank
water
you.
and Star Trek.
My pleasure. I promise I'll bring something harder next time, but
That's okay.
It's been my pleasure.
Then you can
Thanks
tell
for
us the
having me.
Christmas story.
Whatever floats your
That's off
boat.
camera.
Yeah.
That's off camera.
Wow, can't wait. Anyway, thank you so much, Michael. We'll keep the conversation going in social media. Everybody talk about
Definitely.
President Archer and
Yeah.
Star Trek United. Things are in flux. You never know.
You never
Just
know.
keep up the noise, keep the
Yeah.
volume up. That is one thing I've noticed is since everything exploded at Star Trek Las Vegas, the momentum has not died.
Nope.
People are
Exactly.
still talking about this and how much they love this idea and think it could be something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as I said before, they love the idea of Scott coming back. I think we really want to
yeah.
see. I want to see where he is now, and where he's
Absolutely.
going.
Yeah, me too.
So-
Absolutely.
Hopefully, a
Yeah.
lot of other people do too. So
It's
thank you
the
again.
first scene is going to open up on him waking up as a boxer, right? No, okay, that's the wrong show.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
All right. Anyway, thank you so much, Michael. We really appreciate you.
My pleasure. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Thanks so much for watching that clip. We go live every Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on Star Trek and Chill.